Hey guys, what's growing? It's Heather at Bush Puppy Farm. Today we're doing the April garden tour, part 2. So I'm super low energy today. I think I've just been pushing it too hard over the last week. And so today is a nice day to take a little tour through the garden. Not everything is cleaned up. Things are going to be kind of messy, and that's okay because that's life. That's real life. So let's go. If you haven't seen the first part, it's a video or two back. I toured the farm as well as the front vegetable garden and chicken run stuff. So that's been done already. Now we're starting to do the rest of the property. So yeah, let's go. So speaking of things not looking neat and tidy, this is all for a project that we're going to be doing later this week. Hanging baskets, and so we'll go into that later. But I wanted to show you our some of our Japanese maples are starting to leaf out. These come on red, both of these come on red, but then they turn bright green, and then they go back to red in the fall. And the Loropetalum is blooming. As usual, the redwood tree just looks so pretty. It's so green and so lush. The other ones, however, the big giant ones, they're much, much older and they're not as lush anymore. Worry about them a little bit. Azaleas are starting. We've got the white ones coming on. These will go for another probably 6 weeks, and the different colors will start coming out. We also have some pink ones on a smaller bush variety over here. Those are starting to come on too, but we'll also have hot pink, purple, and red. Most of the daffodils are done, so I need to come through here and deadhead so that it doesn't look abysmal. Hellebores hanging on to its blooms. It'll kind of stay like that through until we start getting into our high heat, and then it'll die back for a little while and come back out when the winter rains start. The ground cover here is doing great. I'm really glad I cleaned away some of the leaves and stuff, opened it up, because that helps that proliferate a little bit more. You can see this azalea is just starting. That one's some nice red leaves. And this Japanese maple is starting to leaf out as well. I have one astilbe coming up here, which is shocking because last year the deer ate all of them. We were still in a drought last spring and there was hardly anything for the deer to eat, so they were browsing on our vegetation. This is a cotoneaster that I still need to cut back even more. These are the Pittosporum silver sheens. We have 3 of them. I use those for foliage in bouquets, but they're also very pretty hedge bushes. And then I have 2 red twig dogwoods. There's one right there and there's one over there. And this is all lavender and geranium and ground cover in here. Over here we've got one of our camellias blooming. I mean, there's just so many on there, but such pretty flowers. And like I said, azaleas starting here. These were all interspersed different colors, so like I said, as the season goes on, we'll get different colors. Here's another camellia here. This one is a red and white, or a dark pink and white. It's really pretty. More camellia. I love the geometry of these flowers. Ground cover expanding, getting nice and green now that it's warmer. That green patch right there is all monkey flower. That will send up spikes of beautiful flowers soon, pink flowers. This euphorbia in bloom, looking really lovely. And these hellebores, the flowers are very aged now. They've been up for about 6 weeks, but still very pretty. Here's another one of those azaleas in bloom. Really, really pretty. And this is a ground cover geranium here. Even my jade is blooming, which is lovely to see. This Japanese maple, almost all leafed out. And then these containers, still doing well, getting bushier, which is nice. These are boxwood, and I need to come in and trim them up a little bit so they don't look so shaggy. And this is one more loropetalum, only it's white. This is jasmine, star jasmine, starting to climb over this arbor. All right, this is a sidewalk that not many people use because it's kind of a mess and all of our utilities are back here. But this is in front of our kitchen window, so I wanted to plant things that we could see and enjoy while we're doing dishes, etc. So we have lobelia and lamium. I think that's a white Nancy variety. We've got all of these pretty species tulips, and the hyacinths are still going, and these snowdrops still cranking out blooms. They're just so pretty and tall, really tall. But I love how this is all getting dense in here now, finally, with vegetation with the ground cover, and it's so nice to see little flowers popping up here and there. So this is our backyard, and this is a steep hill with a leaning retaining wall here, which is kind of a problem. We're looking into getting that fixed, but mostly what we have in here is grasses and ferns. Got this really pretty Japanese maple here. More ferns and grasses and all of this ivy, and these guys here are seedlings of this California buckeye. So over here we have a California bay laurel, and then here is a mixed, there's an oak mixed with a buckeye, and there's another buckeye there. So these are all seedlings in here, which will grow up into big trees if we don't decide to pull them out. Those containers I planted up in the fall are finally starting to come into their own. We've got the Emperor Fritillary here in the middle, surrounded by these white tulips. It's a little easier to see over here. Such cool flowers. And the succulents are out, so it's kind of funny because we're having summer plants next to spring plants, but we're getting a late start this year. Loropetalum blooming, the ferns starting to come back. They'll get so dense through here that they'll completely cover up this whole area. In here we have a really tall Pyrrhus japonica in between some Loropetalum. And this is actually a Camellia sinensis. It's a tea leaf camellia. It blooms in like January. And this is Fire Island hydrangea starting to come back. We have this really pretty star jasmine that's after 3 seasons now taking over this trellis. I do want to plant up the base here with some probably nasturtiums again this year. Beautiful carpet of geranium. Oh, turkeys. So every couple of years we get a mama and a bunch of babies back here, and she raises them in our backyard, and I think that might happen again this year. Heuchera, this is a nice shady garden, and that beautiful hellebore. Another Pyrrhus japonica. Oh, I can hear her. And then this really pretty Japanese maple. Back there is more jasmine on a fence that covers up our pool equipment. Okay, here's those containers that we planted up in front of the greenhouse. You can see the hydrangea are starting to leaf out on both of these. And what's going on in the greenhouse? Actually going to leave this open because it's going to be warm today. So this shelf pretty much empty, which is great. Now I have space. The transplanted seedlings are starting to really put on growth. So you can see they just really needed to get out of those soil blocks. They're much happier. These are all the tomatoes. Cucumbers are still quite small. I'm going to give them a little bit more time in here and some big doses of fertilizer. And then this is all just lettuces and stuff that need to get transplanted out. The peppers, as usual, growing slower. However, those ones in the back, Etudia, are a little bit taller, but definitely put on growth since I put them in here, but they're nowhere near as rapidly growing as the tomatoes. And then this is all freshly sown seeds of sunflowers and Cabea and Thunbergia. Also 2 trays of flowers for the flower farm. More Thunbergia. And then, this is something I have to do today. Almost all of the dahlia tubers have sprouted and they're big. So these all need to get cut and put into 4-inch pots where they will grow on and then can be planted, and the tubers will put out more sprouts, and eventually in the next couple of weeks I'll put them in the ground. Out here we have a tray full of Baptisia. These are all going to go up front, in front of the garden, outside the gate. This is Sweet Alyssum, and then this is Bee Balm and Yarrow, so those all need to go out as well. So we have a few, spring bulbs that have come up. I need to clean out the bird bath. This is all Japanese anemone, and we won't see blooms on those until the summertime. But down into the redwood grove, creek is still running. We actually got some rain last night, which is a very surprising gift. It was very light rain, didn't even register in terms of accumulation, but we could hear it, and everything seems happy this morning. There's a little squirrel running on the fence line. Go get him, buddy. This, we sowed grass seed here last year and had a very lush lawn, and then it's under this oak tree. It never gets sun, and it just didn't survive. So we're thinking instead of fighting nature, we should just convert it probably to shaded garden space. Here's where the sun line is, pretty much. You can see that. Start getting more sun and the grass actually grows better over here. This is the fig tree that I want to plant in the front next to the chicken run. And I might be past my plant out date. We might have to wait until it goes dormant again, but it's because it's starting to put on growth. Nothing in this intentionally, it's just leftover stuff that's growing. This is freesia that keeps coming up in this pot, even though I dig it up every year. The citrus seem to be rebounding. Definitely some yellowing, but they've gotten an iron treatment, and this new growth is looking okay. All those freezing temperatures though, like this little guy is younger and it really struggled. So I probably won't see any fruit on that until the winter. Lavender, this is another hydrangea, that's a macrophylla. This hasn't been planted up yet. It's just got some mint in it. The green stalks are doing well. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this guy. I haven't had to water them because we've been getting all that rain, but the watering is gonna have to start pretty soon. And you can see we've already started to get some strawberry buds down there. Definitely harvesting a lot from the herb tower. Been enjoying that. Coming into the cottage garden, which is a bit of a mess. My son mowed yesterday, but you can tell he did a very high mow, so it still looks pretty messy. But that's okay because the dandelion flowers survived, and right now they're an important food source for the bees. So we've got some red rooster grass here. Look at the size of this lupine. I can't wait to see those flowers come out. Back there is an Aquilegia or columbine. More lupin. Most of these daffodils are done, so I'll have to come in and deadhead and clean up. But as I've said before, I won't be pulling any of the leaves until they're brown and ready to get pulled out because they help replenish the bulb underneath for next year. These are irises popping up. I have no idea what color they are. There's some feverfew that overwintered from last year. And this ground cover, look how pretty it is right now. I love the white in there. These are all foxglove. And I don't know if we're going to, I don't see any flower spikes yet. It's really late this year for them. But again, with the weather, it's hard to tell. Got some Dusty Miller in here. Lots of ground cover. A lot of that is foxglove, actually. There's germander in here. That's a podocarpus, I think. And then we have some Nepeta. More Aquilegia columbines scattered throughout here. And the Dusty Miller still looking pretty good. It made it through all that harsh weather. So I've planted a bunch of marigolds back here. We'll see if they come up, but I need something to fill in this back edge of the bed. These are Gara. I cut them way back and now there's all this beautiful new growth on them. And the sweet alyssum. Big irises. These were the black ones I think I had last year, black suited I think. So hopefully that's the same ones. Still a few daffodils hanging on. We've got some species tulips in here, like that little guy right there. Species tulips will naturalize and spread. They have different cultural needs. So that's nice. They're just not as showy as the kind that you get usually. We've got lots of California poppy in here. More foxglove. We've got a bunch of salvias back there and some hollyhocks. The greenery on those hollyhocks is looking great. I just don't know if we'll get blooms this year. These are some violas that overwintered. Here's another one of those species tulips. More lupins. There's a big buddleia right there. So these pots just planted up with bulbs. Only some of them came up because the squirrels got into them, but that's all right. And then over here, this bed, I haven't had a chance to do anything with, and that's so funny. I did not plant this here. That is not foxglove, that's a snapdragon. So I wonder what color. It looks like it's gonna be a white one. All this lamb's ear. Most of the stuff in this bed was started from seed, and look at this fritillary. Oh, I'm so happy to see it. I thought that none of them survived last year. Some species tulips. And then this beautiful silver color here that's helichrysum. Gosh, this lamb's ear, oh, so soft. And I love the way the water droplets gather on the leaves. Our roses, having been trimmed and re-tied to the post, putting on lots of new growth. Really looking forward to seeing that when they're blooming. These are more limelight hydrangeas, tiny, but putting on their fresh growth. Here we go. First bud of the rose. And then finally, these containers that we planted up. This clematis is growing well, but there's one, the other one is growing even better. I'll show you that in a minute. We do have some berries coming out on these. I can see. And the alyssum is much better than it was. It's actually flowering at this point. If you see over here, this clematis is much more filled out. I actually just got some trellises for these, so I need to install those in the next couple days. Let's see, we also have some berries here. So that's it. That's part 2 of the garden tour, the April garden tour. I'm going to try to clean up a lot of the crap that I've got lying around so that maybe in May it looks a whole lot better. Certainly more things will be in bloom. We'll have a lot more growth to show you. But if you have any questions or any comments, please let me know. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.